On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tecovas store. So stop by Tecovas Nashville at the Mall at Green Hills or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tecovas Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tecovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all.
Today on CityCast Nashville, we're talking about how to give back and get help here in Nashville with Jan Seymour, Senior Director of Volunteer Engagement at Hands On Nashville. Founded in 1991, this nonprofit connects volunteers with opportunities to make a difference across the city. With more than 170 local organizations offering ways to pitch in, their website, hon.org, is a one-stop shop for volunteering in Middle Tennessee. So if you're looking to lend a helping hand this holiday season, or if you could use a hand up for you and your family, Hands On Nashville has plenty of suggestions. It's Tuesday, December 3rd. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. As we move into the holiday season, a lot of us start thinking about gratitude and ways to give back. And I think a lot of people are especially wondering how they can get involved locally right now. But we know there are also folks listening who may need a little help this time of year. Jan, as the Director of Volunteer Engagement, what are some of your favorite places to send volunteers right now?
Oh, there are just so many. One of my favorite organizations that I love is Shower the People. And they are an organization that provides hygiene services for the unhoused community. They have a little shower bus that goes around. And so they provide extra clothing for folks after they've showered, hygiene supplies for the week. And it's just really meaningful and just a really great way of engaging. I also, want to make sure people know about our disaster volunteer leader program, because that's a great way people can get involved. A lot of people would see like a disaster happen and then they want to help, but we're trying to train people up in advance to make sure that they are ready and totally prepared when a disaster does occur, that we have great volunteers on the ground who are ready to go and lead the other volunteers. One of the newer partners that I've gotten to know is Dream Streets. They're over in West Nashville at the West Nashville Dream Center, and they have a lot of different programs. So one of the things they need volunteers for right now is just to come. They do a hot meal for the kids, and they get those donated from a kitchen, but they need to be heated up and prepared and served to the children. So that's kind of a fun afternoon project. They also do grocery giveaways at different communities throughout town. And that's just a really good way to get to know and connect with your neighbors. They also have some job placement services. So they really do it all and try to wrap around families. So those are some of my favorite things right now that we're offering.
So I'm sure somebody is sitting at home listening and saying, hey, this is really cool. I would like to get involved. Yeah. What are the steps to become a volunteer?
The hands-on website, we really want to make it easy, right? There's 170 different organizations that you can volunteer with through us. And that keeps people from having to sort through and call and find connections and email people and find out what's available. And then maybe it fits their schedule and maybe it doesn't. So at hon.org, so that's for handsonnashville.org, HON.org, you can go on and create a volunteer profile. Takes maybe 3 minutes. You just, register, get your code, put it in, bada bing, bada boom, you're ready to go. Then you go to our calendar and you can find something that just fits your schedule. Maybe I have from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock available this Saturday. I can go on to Saturday and see what's ready during that time. Maybe my family is coming into town for the holidays and we want to do something together. So you can do that. We have a listing for group opportunities. So if you were looking for something where you might have a church group wanting to go out all together, your small life group wants to go out together, you can find a group opportunity. So there's all sorts of different ways to connect. Once you're registered as a volunteer, you just sign up, click that link. You'll get an automatic email that says, hey, here's what you signed up for. And then it gives you the directions. It gives you the information for the volunteer coordinator that you'll meet with that day. And you are ready to go. And you get to just show up and put a smile on your face and put the smiles on faces of others.
Do you need any training before you sign up to volunteer? Like if I wanted to help shower the people, for example, is there anything I need to know beforehand?
Yeah, it just depends on the partner, right? So it depends on the organization and what they're working with. We do have a lot of organizations that will work with young people. And so maybe they'll require a background check. We have others that do just a just-in-time training. You can show up at Shower the People and they will show you what to do and you'll be ready to go just like that. So it really depends on the organization. We're sort of the connection point. We do also offer a volunteer orientation each month. So if people are having trouble finding something to connect to, Caesar and Jesus from our team just get online, kind of help you navigate through and be able to find everything really easily.
Yeah, that was my experience when I came back. I had moved away and came back, and then just doing the online orientation is accessible for all. So that was very much appreciated to have it online. Is there a recent volunteer project or success story that really stands out to you?
I think one that really speaks to me is the work that volunteers have done out at the Millridge Park. That's a new park in South Nashville on Bell Road near Antioch. They just built a very cool playground out there. But it was a farm before, right? With an overgrown pond and a falling down barn. And so volunteers have been out there. They've built trails. They've cleaned up years worth of litter from off of the highway to make it safer out there. That pond that was overgrown had a lot of dead trees around it. So they have cut out the dead trees to make room for healthy native trees out there. They've removed a lot of invasive species. I think if you live in Tennessee, you know about that bush honeysuckle. That just grows anywhere and everywhere in the privet. And so they have just pulled out acres and acres of weeds to let healthy growth happen and just make that a beautiful park area for the community down there.
I find that those types of volunteer opportunities are really great for families and even small children sometimes. Like my family, we've done Radnor. We've helped like trail maintenance and that type of thing. And it's so enjoyable because you're outside, you're with your family. And I love being able to have a task and then see it to fruition, you know?
And we do have a page just for families.
Oh, whoa, really?
So if you are looking for things, I think it puts opportunities that are available to anyone. We try to make those really easy for people to find, those ones that young people can participate in and be there with their families.
All right, let's turn to the other side. If folks are looking for help, big or small, what are some of your favorite community resources that Hands On works with?
Yeah, I was thinking about that, coming up on the holidays. There's a few things that we see a need for this time of year. People do feel stretched, and food is always one of the top needs that volunteers are meeting, right? So there are a lot of the Second Harvest food pantries like Martha O'Brien Center and Salvation Army will post their opportunities with us. The branch is in South Nashville. The store is in Edge Hill. But a lot of these resources are localized, right? So if I'm in Madison, there might be great food opportunities available in Antioch, but I might not have transportation, especially if I have a food need. So I think one of the best resources is to call 211, and that's the United Way's helpline. And there are volunteers there answering your questions, going through all of the community resources that are really targeted for you. And so I think when people have a food need, 211 can help them find something that's open, something that's local. A lot of times those needs are a little bit urgent. So what can we get to today and help them navigate that without being on their own, just trying to search? I think utility assistance, this is a sector I used to work in, and we definitely saw this time of year as it starts to get cold. people turn on the heat and those bills just go up, 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 right? Especially if you live in an older apartment building, that is something that just can really eat into your budget. So Metro Action Commission is a city agency. And if you're at 150% or less of the federal poverty guideline, they can help with a bill every year. So if you qualify, that is something you can receive. NeedLink Nashville also offers emergency assistance for utilities, and that's really important. So what NeedLink does is if you are worried about getting your lights cut off, if you've already gotten that notice that said from NES that says, hey, your lights could be cut off, you can go to them and see if there is an opportunity for them to help. They also, if you have been cut off, they work really quickly to help people get water or heat or whatever restored, because we don't want anybody to be without heat as it starts to get chilly this winter. And the holidays, right? That is top of mind. We don't ever want anybody to break their budget trying to provide for their kids. So that is really important. But we also know that people really want to be able to give their kids a special experience around the holidays. So there are a lot of churches, a lot of community organizations with their own giveaways in the neighborhoods. I think one thing that I love this time of year that people can start thinking about is that last minute toy store. That's a partnership with the Davidson County Sheriff's Office. Registration is a first come, first serve up until December 8th. And they can kind of go shopping for kids and their family to get what they need if they haven't been able to find other resources. And it is lastminutetoystore.com.
Wow, great. And we'll put that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, and most of those have opportunities on our website. The Last Minute Toy Store is managed through the Sheriff's Office, so that lastminutetoystore.com has its own volunteer page as well. One other way that people can help with NeedLink is that in December, I always think this is really fun. They have Rudolph's Red-Nosed Run out at Shelby Park. And so that is a fun way to get out in the cold to kind of help people stay warm. And so they need a lot of volunteers from registration, those water stations, just directing people along the course. And so that's just a really fun day in the community.
When is that?
Second weekend in December this year.
Wonderful. It's obviously difficult for people to ask for assistance. I know for me, it would be hard to ask. What advice would you give to anyone who might be anxious about accepting assistance, or someone who might be thinking, oh, but there are other people who need it more than me?
Our community is really full of people who are ready and willing to help. So I don't think anyone should worry about that. I think people feel like the opportunity to give is meaningful. And so by getting the help that they need, they're also giving other people that opportunity to be part of something bigger and be part of the community. So I don't think people should ever be worried, especially about making sure that the needs of their families are met, right? Like that is the most important thing.
We're going to take a quick break, but I want listeners to know we'll be listing all the resources that Jan just mentioned in our show notes. When we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about how Hands On started and how we can strengthen our community for the future. And I'm back with Jan Seymour, Senior Director of Volunteer Engagement at Hands On. So for folks who maybe don't know the backstory, how did Hands On get started? And after viewing your website recently, are we not supposed to call it Hands On Nashville anymore? It said hands-on.unitedway. Is it still Hands On Nashville?
I think everybody will always know us as Hands On Nashville.
Yes,
and that's great.
That's how I'm going to say it forever and always. Yes.
Yeah, we love that. And our partnership with United Way, we recently became part of their agency, which has been really amazing. They do all of our finance. They do all of our HR, our IT, so that we get to focus on that work of engaging volunteers, which is really the fun part, I think. It also means that we're able to serve all 9 counties that United Way of Greater Nashville serves. We just launched handsonclarksville.org. One thing we know is that as people are getting pushed out of Nashville due to housing prices, They're ending up in Springfield. They're ending up in Clarksville. They're ending up in Dixon. And those organizations are small and they've been used to serving small towns. And so they need more and more and more volunteers to be able to provide the services to their growing communities.
And when did Hands On begin? How did it start?
We started in 1991. So more than 30 years, we were our own little small organization. And there was a group of volunteers really came together with Hal Cato, who is now the director of the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee. And they saw just a need to be able to find volunteer opportunities. They were a great group of young professionals, and they said, what can we do? And they actually started out by flyering mailboxes in sort of the Hillsborough Road area. As this sort of hands-on network grew, we have about 50,000 people that get our newsletter every 2 weeks. And
that's a lot.
And that gives them a really good selection of what's going on.
And people can go to hon.org to sign up for the newsletter?
Yes, they can sign up for our newsletter there.
As you mentioned, you're also very active in the wake of natural disasters that hit our area, like last December's tornado. What are you learning about how to best manage disaster relief in our city?
We really learned a lot from 2020. It had been 10 years since that big flood in 2010. And I think a lot of us all felt invincible, right? And so everybody got out. There were 30,000 people that signed up that day. It crashed our website.
Wow.
And we just did our best to manage to bring people together to do things safely. And so we have an amazing disaster response manager, Nellie Perez, and she has got us all planned up. So those disaster volunteer leaders that I mentioned earlier are a big part of that plan. We've also developed some great partnerships with our Nashville BOAD, which is the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. And since that is such a mouthful, we just say VOAD. And that is every organization in town who wants to play a part after a disaster. So that might be Hands On, that coordinates the volunteers. It might be the American Red Cross that provides shelter services. The Community Resource Center provides all of the items that people might need. But then there are other partners who just say, hey, I'm here for whatever, right? Foster. Nashville is a fostering organization, so people can foster pets for people in crisis so they don't have to give them up. Shower the People, right? They have their services for people experiencing homelessness all the time. But if your water is out because you've recently experienced a disaster, they'll come into those neighborhoods and help out as well. So this is a really great coalition, and it gives everyone this opportunity to know what our role is ahead of a disaster.
Well, I had some friends severely impacted by the flash flooding in Asheville. And then they had a flood of volunteers coming that might have seemed that they didn't have experts to look to or this type of network because there was just so many people there trying to help, which was amazing. But they were starting to get in the way rather than helping.
Yes. And, our number one rule is please do not self-deploy. We feel like if we just go show up with a chainsaw and a truck full of water, that will get distributed efficiently. I think people don't realize that it usually takes 3, 4, 5 days, even for a small disaster, to get set up for volunteers to be able to come in and do the work, right? We don't want to have volunteers in an area while we're still restoring power and there might be lines down. So we let the emergency responders go in first, get people to shelter if they need to, and then we deploy the resources as people are ready.
That's quite comforting. Thank you. That's very nice to hear. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of small nonprofits struggle to hang on here in Nashville because of high rents and many other factors. Like the Little Pantry That Could is a good example. Wonderful community organization that was forced to close when they lost their space. How can we as residents of Nashville help make sure we aren't losing these resources? And is volunteering enough?
Volunteering is one piece, definitely, right? But, we talk about a civic circle. There are a lot of different ways to engage with the community. Maybe it's through your vote. Maybe you're looking at a city council person that you know is going to support the effort that you are passionate about. Maybe it is with your purchase power. Maybe you're going to go out and dine out for life and support our HIV/AIDS initiatives here in town. Maybe it is using your voice to advocate for an organization. And maybe if you're able to, donating specifically to an organization that you love. I always try to just set aside, like $25 a month that I know that I'm going to give to something that I love. And that is an affordable level for me. But I also know that these little organizations, $25 can mean a lot. And if we're all doing a little bit, that really makes a difference. And it makes them see the support and feel the support.
I was just a DJ for a charity event. That was a way that I could donate my time and skills. I created some cool playlists for the event and acted as MC. That allowed them to save lots of money, to not have to hire somebody or that type of thing. So, I do love that you said that you can volunteer in ways of look into your talent and tap into your talent and show up. So
we all have something to share. We have a great technology volunteer program here called Geek Cause, where people can connect with a technology project that a nonprofit needs to be done. Wow. There's a long-term and skilled volunteer page where maybe somebody needs a receptionist. Maybe they need help with accounting. Maybe they need a committee for that big gala to make it happen. If you have a little bit of time, you would be amazed at how far your talents go for a nonprofit, because we may be that organization that only has 3 people on staff. And so having that legal expertise, that marketing expertise, that web design is something that really can go a long way for a small nonprofit.
So Nashvillians, if you're listening, lots of opportunities to volunteer. Just head on over to hon.org. Jan, thank you so much for being here today. We've learned a lot, and especially as we go into this holiday season.
Yes.
Now's the time to really show up for your community.
It has been my pleasure.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!